when I work with my athletes, I would love to give them kind of a pragmatic approach or give them really actionable steps that they can actually take on board. For the viewer that might be listening to this, maybe they've just played their second season of club. Maybe it's one of their first off seasons that they're actually navigating through and wanting to take a bigger step ahead of kind of next season, pushing for a high level. What would some actionable steps look like when it comes to planning out their next few weeks? When it comes to training for a potential tryout, even if it's a few months ahead of time?
I like the approach that you talked about last week, and we also talked about this the first time, right? But it's just like just do a little bit every single day. And so if you spend like 20 or 30 minutes, what did you say? Do like one you do you want to break that down one more time?
Yeah, sure. My approach, and yeah, we can jump into the. I'd love to get pick your brain about how often we should be doing kind of strength and conditioning and stuff as well. From a skill development approach, I mean, I find the off season. Also, this is my recommendation for all my athletes. A great time for us to get ahead of the competition from a skills perspective. So I think yeah, there's two sides of it. Obviously, there's the strength and conditioning side and the skill side. So you can kind of think of them. Obviously, they're related, but they're also kind of siloed or have their own role to play in your kind of training approach as well. From a skill side, my recommendation is a little bit of focused effort each day. Just means that you can stack the skill acquisition day by day, week by week. And it means that even if you're doing a little bit of throwing, a little bit of cutting patterns, a little bit of defensive movement, a little bit of self throw, self catching, that just keeps your skill in tune so that you're actually building that week by week in the off season. It means that by the time you get back to tryouts, you're ready when everyone else has purely been spending time on the couch or purely been spending the time in the gym, which is good. But you'll have the advantage from a skills perspective because you've been working on different areas of your game that you've been wanting to build. But I'd love to kind of inquire and figure out, okay, well, if we are trying to focus on skills during the off season, if we are also trying to build muscle and make our body ready for the load that we're going to put on, what should kind of a week look like when it comes to balancing all that?
Yeah. I think really simply, I would say on average, if you just want to follow like the simplest approach, is try to hit the main movement patterns at least one time a week. So to break it down real simply, the main movement patterns that I follow is like one, a double leg squat. So you can just think a regular back squat, front squat, what's called a goblet squat, where you just hold one dumbbell, right? One double leg squat. You could do one double leg hinge. So this is like a deadlift, a RDL, Romanian deadlift, right? Where something you're loading into the hip. Squat, you're loading more into the knee. RDO or a hinge, you're loading more into the hip. So if you get both of those, get some sort of split squat, like a lunge, split squat, Bulgarian split squat. Now it's like a single leg pattern. Something lateral, so like a lateral squat side to side. Those four plus something for your upper body where you're pushing, maybe like a bench or an overhead press, and then something where you're pulling. Um, for your upper body, maybe a row or a pull up, and lastly something for your core. So those seven things, right? If you can spread that out throughout the entirety of a week, maybe that's two different workouts, right? Maybe that's two different main lifts, and then some accessories, some warm up, obviously within that. I think that's really good. And then also, as far as everything else that goes into that, it's really dependent on what you're doing on the field. And so there's kind of two different camps that you can fit programs into. It's are you training and are you doing your strength and conditioning kind of as a supplement to ultimate or on-field stuff, or do you need your strength and conditioning to make up for on-field stuff, right? So if you're taking the approach that you described, where you're going to be on field doing a little bit of skills development every day, then I know you're getting a little bit of sprinting, a little bit of cutting, a little bit of deceleration work, right? So maybe I don't have to add as much of that into the strength and conditioning plan in the gym. But if I'm working with someone where they're like, yeah, for the next 2 months, like I'm not playing any ultimate, I'm not really going to be on the field, then I might add a little bit more of that into the gym work where maybe we're doing some plyometric type stuff or some jumping type stuff, some deceleration type stuff, because I want the body to still be used to that. Maybe I'm programming a full field workout in there where there's going to be some footwork stuff, some a little bit of sprint excel or sprint like mechanics work, some full field or some full speed sprints, and then some jumps, some cuts, and all that stuff. So you kind of have to look at throughout the entirety of a week what else are you doing, because that stuff is going that's strength and conditioning at the end of the day, right? Even if it's from a skills development standpoint, like you're still cutting, jumping, all that stuff. So um I would just look at that like, am I already doing enough? And like, how many times a week am I doing it? And do I need to add a little bit more, or is the strength stuff kind of enough?
Yeah, that sounds like a super smart approach. I mean, if I were to break it down for the viewer in real simple terms, it sounds like there's kind of four main health bars or four main bars that you're going to try and fill out during your season or during your training, during your week, right? One being strength, which is what you're doing might be doing in the gym, the kind of building the muscle and building the power that you have. The other being conditioning. Then we have kind of the acceleration based movement, change of direction based movement. And lastly, we have the skill stuff, right? It sounds to me like your approach is very much as long as we get to 100 or our benchmark or where we want to be over the course of the week, it doesn't really matter in kind of what shape or what format that looks like. It might mean that, if we have a week where we're playing more ultimate, that might fill the skill bar and the excel bar a little bit more and the change of direction bar. And then we might just need to supplement a little bit based on what we need, if that. Does that sound about right?
That's it. Yeah.